Assembly to receive their allowances. I so support. Thank you.
Well, distinguished colleagues.
Stands there, you see the proceedings and the issues that were raised there, talking about the respect to the institution of the National Assembly. One of the problems we have in Nigeria is the fact that most times we do not build institutions, we only build individuals. Now, I do agree that to a large extent, if this issue should have been a case of institutions that affect the majority of the Nigerian people, it might not take the accelerated move that is getting from the National Assembly. But now it's a question of favoring the microscopic few of Nigerians at the ends of affairs at the National Assembly. That's all. But that is just by the way. The truth is, the National Assembly is an institution. A disregard to the National Assembly is a disregard to one of the institutions of the Nigerian state. And so they move by the Senate to a large extent. Why not? Now, I also think it is impressive that Senator Oji's Okalu was able to raise the amendments to that.
So our aides,
having to do with the emoluments and salaries benefits of our aides, that they are not the one that offended. Interestingly, that the president of the Senate was able to agree to that just because the whole house also agreed to that. Well, the part that the Senate did not agree to, which perhaps we still get to discuss after now, is the part of the withdrawal of security. In the wisdom of the president of the Senate, he was even saying that when the former president of the Senate was to hand over to him, that he came to his house, they had a conversation, and then he was saying to the leader and said, by tomorrow, this vehicle will come to you, and then that's once you cease to be a senator, the benefits and all of that also ceases. But then, that's another kettle of fish for the senators. I think you get my drift now.
Yes, well, let's hope that the sanctity of the hallowed chamber, they call it. So it ought to have some sacred, reference, really. It ought to have some sacred reference and decorum. I don't want us to go on and on about this issue. If not, we wouldn't go over all the news, all the headlines that we have for the day.
Let's hope that maybe after the first conversation we'll be able to come back to
raise, yes, because definitely it's still going to be raised on other dailies for the day. All right, still on the Daily Trust, we have this one. Benue Varsity students regain freedom after 8 days in captivity. You find details of this on page 6 of the Daily Trust this morning.
Well, I think it's an interesting story that buttresses the point I made earlier, that this is a national embarrassment. Well, it's not just because of those students, but also because of the dimension that kidnapping, banditry, and all these violent criminalities are now taking. Just recently, you found a former general, a retired general, abducted. You also found a senior police officer in Abuja abducted by gunmen. These are violent crimes that are really portraying badly the image of the Nigerian state in the Committee of Nations. And if the National Assembly is not declaring a state of emergency or security situation, and with the same energy that they handled the issue of disrespect to the National Assembly, then something is wrong with the nation. If the National Assembly is not looking at the way and manner, banditry is now becoming a normal lexicon in our national life. If it's not looking at the way and manner, kidnapping and abductions of different variations are now becoming the order of the day, and with the same energy that they treated the issue of Natasha with regard to the National Assembly in their own words. If they're not looking at it with that same energy or even more, then something is really wrong with the people manning our institution.
I quite agree with you on that. Absolutely. EFCC quizzes ex-Women Affairs Minister over alleged 138 million naira fraud. Well, I will have for details of that, we check page 3 of the Daily Trust this morning for more on the story. The tragic story here: 6 killed as fuel tanker explodes in Niger. Oh, the details of that is on page 7. And that will be all from the Daily Trust.
Well, the Daily Times also has some stories for us. APC settles for indirect primary election to hold April 15. That's ahead, Anambra Guba. You find details on the front page of the Daily Times. And of course, there's also the picture of Nyesom Wike on the front page having a meeting with a foreign national there on the issues having to do with the development of the capital city of Nigeria. Lenten season, President Tinubu felicitates the Christians. That's also reported in the Daily Times of this morning. Senate slams 6-month suspension of Senator Natasha to readmit her after apology letter to Akpabio. Details of that you find in the Daily Times of today. Tinubu approves employment for 774 health fellows. It's reported on the second page of the Daily Times newspaper this morning. That does it there.
All right, from the Daily Times, we check the Punch. On the Punch this morning, 6 months suspension. Natasha heads for court as NBA others knock Senate. It says Kogi Senator's lawyer says suspension illegal. PDP kicks, Senate insists its rules violated. All right, just as she said while leaving the Senate yesterday, she said the end does not come to this injustice. And here we're having it. Some bodies, supporting that. The NBA, that is Nigeria Bar Association, says in that the matter will be taken to court. All right, more of that you find on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Marketers worry as 5 months of fuel imports hit 6.
Now let's move to the Guardian newspaper this morning. The Guardian newspaper has some stories for us on the front page, which leads with the upper at the National Assembly. The Guardian newspaper leads with that story. Pro-people legislations shadowed by house drama intrigues. You find pictures of the main actors in the issue. You find the picture of Akpabio, the president of the Senate. You find that of the Senate leader there, like Okwayemi Bamidele, and very many of them there too. The Defense Headquarters queries Nigeria's terrorism index ranking as FG freezes assets of terror financiers. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper of this morning. And also, not leaving that yet, you find this one: controversy over merit as FG reverses Chukwu's appointment as Admiralty University as Vice Chancellor. That's on page 9 of the Guardian. FG plans new rehabilitation camp for bandits, terrorists. Interesting, you might want to say. But the details find on page 79 of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Air Force personnel invade IKEDC office, allegedly assault workers over power disconnection. So I'll just say, just go check details there in the Guardian newspaper of this morning. Tinubu approves 80% dialysis subsidy, hires 774 national health fellows. It's also reported in the Guardian newspaper this morning. Militants threaten oil installation attacks in rivers, order evacuation. It's also reported there in the Guardian newspaper. Court orders permanent forfeiture of $1.4 million fund linked to Emefiele. It's on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. If you guys not taking Emefiele will become the next Abacha refunding money and sending money back to the at the point in time. It's just a sad thing when you find this quantum level of corruption especially not even just among politicians, but even among career officers. Emefiele was the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, not a political office, not a career office, so to say. And then you expect some level of decency, decorum, professionalism, and a high level of integrity. But then you find what's now coming out after all of that. It's just one thing that Nigeria has to deal with. Like the former president did say that we must kill corruption before corruption kills us. And the commentator did ask, has corruption not really killed us? We can only revive or resuscitate our livelihood from the grip of corruption. It's so sad. That doesn't die in the Guardian newspaper.
From the Guardian, let's check the Nation. The Nation newspaper this morning, we have this one: Supreme Court, no evidence. 27 Rivers lawmakers defected. No evidence. 27 Rivers lawmakers defected. So you find the details there on the front page. The nation obtains CTC of judgment. Rivers people Fubara backing Tinubu, says Sekibo. All right, we have this. Okay, let me take a portion of it. There is no evidence that the 27 members of the River State House of Assembly defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress, APC, the Supreme Court had held. It's found that Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who raised the allegation of defection, withdrew it when he retrieved all the documents he filed for the Federal High Court in Abuja. It was one of those stories to trend in the political arena, the Fubara Wike crisis and River State. Maybe finally the hand has come to the season film, so to speak.
I wish the end has come, but you see, the behavioral pattern of our politicians might not really let there be an end to the what you call season film. Now you find a House of Assembly in River State giving ultimatum to the governor, 48 hours, that he must come and present the 2025 appropriation bill to the House. Now, because that is, according to them, a properly constituted House of Assembly, while the issues were still going on, the Secretary to the government of River State did say yet to receive any letter like that from the House of Assembly. Not just long after, you find the House coming to say, look,
dissolve your cabinet.
You must dissolve or sack all your commissioners and represent list of people you want to appoint as commissioners. According to them, that is the properly constituted House of Assembly that must ratify all of those. So many things like that. So far, the judiciary in River State coming out to say, look, there is no truth about it. The chief judge has not presided on 1 year leave. Because the thing just came out and then they were saying that he has presided on 1 year leave and all of that. So
and that the
very many
issues was going to
resign
from
that one also came out to say, look, something like that. So that's why I'm telling you that it does not really look like there's going to be an end yet to all of the what you call the rigmarole and the back and forth oscillatory movement of politics and politicking in River State. But whatever it is just important that politicking should not, by any reason or by any means, rob the people of the benefits of good governance that democracy says it brings to the table. There must be a way that the people will not suffer for the politicking, the muddy water of politics that you might find in some places. Let's check the Vanguard newspaper of this morning. The Vanguard newspaper also has some stories for us this morning. It leads with that issue of the Senate suspending Senator Apotu Uduaghan for 6 months. So you find that on page 5. Of course, these riders bans her from premises of National Assembly, her office to be locked up for the entire period of her suspension. All her salaries and allowances be suspended. And then she's saying, my suspension invalidates principles of natural justice, fairness. That's coming from Apotu Uduaghan. resubmits sexual harassment petition against Akpabio. Senate should revisit Akpoti Uduaghan's suspension. That's coming from Labour Party. We're not in Banana Republic. That's coming from Owe. Lawyers for suspension despite court order. Details of these and many more on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Finance Minister at the NNPC Towers in Abuja. You find that picture right on the front page on the left-hand side, and then Tinubu launches National Health Fellowship Program. That picture you find on the right-hand side of the paper. Rivers crisis, militant group spits fire, threatens all production. That's on page 3 of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Reps move to strip INEC of power to regulate political parties. It's on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Another issue that will be shaping discourse in the next few days as to whether or not it is very appropriate to strip INEC of the power to regulate political parties and register political parties. Then what will be the next move? Setting up another agency of government to do the registration or what? Let's see how all of these things pan out in the next few days. Check details in the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
Alright, so from the Vanguard, let's check the Daily Independent. The Daily Independent this morning's extension has brought weekend lawmakers 48-hour ultimatum to Governor Alfubara expires. Find this on the front page of the Daily Independent. Also, Tinubu okays employment of 774 health fellows to improve healthcare system. That is on page 29 of the Daily Independent. The federal government moves to enforce new guidelines on organ transplants. This is on page 7. Nigeria loses 94 trillion naira to multinationals divestment. Business closures in 2 years. Find details of that on page 6 of the Daily Independent. And finally, we've taken virtually all of the stories in those other stories we've taken before. Well, this is where we'll take our first break on the show this morning as we've taken the newspaper's headlines. When we return, it will be time for discussion of the day. And please stick around.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive. They shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
All right, welcome back, everyone. It's still AM today, and we've been taking a closer look at issues surrounding national politics and governance all along. Now it's time to also look at areas that really contribute to national development. Specifically, let's look at the education development in Nigeria and the role of collaborations for education development. We're being joined by education enthusiast, a surveyor by profession, Thomas Ajayi. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you
It's
very much.
good to have you on here today. Now, most times when you look at the education arena, people always talk about government at every point in time. Infrastructure, it's government. Provision and employment of teachers, it's government. Perimeter fencing, it's government. Many other things like that, it's government. What exactly should be the role of significant others in education development in Nigeria? Should it really, or is it correct that should be government at every point in time?
Well, thank you, Mr. Moderator. I think the overall development of children should be the duty of both parents, the society, and government. Like secondary school education, which is the baseline of education when it comes to higher education. Government cannot and it should not be left alone with the development of the children. The parents should come and participate in the development of the children. Then all students who have really gained from government should be able to give back to the people coming
like
behind.
Alumni now.
Yeah, like alumni, right? They should be able to come together and give back to the school that made them what they are. So that is my view.
But how do you think old students will be able to contribute their quota to the development of their alma mater when there is no proper organization, when there is no proper orientation and cooperation among them?
Well, it depends on the people themselves.
Okay.
There are schools. Many students, when they pass out, they still interact and they know about the development of one another. And at a point in time, such people should group together and take a decision to help the schools where they graduated.
All right, so you mentioned that there are schools and there are schools. What distinguishes a school from school?
Oh, well, like my school, I don't want to talk about the other schools that I don't know.
Okay.
It is a mission school from the beginning. And moral education was given by the missionary, which is Methodist in our own case. We have Catholic, we have Anglican, and others like that. So the moral education given to us is helping us to shape our lives as adults. Like today, most of the children of today, they lack moral education. Since government took away schools from mission schools. In fact, I would just wish that government should see that they need this mission participation in the development of the children. Because it's not about book and book alone.
How about the issue of government recognizing the place of alumni in education development? Sometimes it's also a question of being given free hand to also operate collaboratively, because exploring collaborations for education development amounts to bringing on board every stakeholder to know that this is your own role, this is your own role. Okay, even when you are lacking your role, I can come in and assist you. In any case, it should be for the overall development of the education sector. Isn't that how it should be?
Oh yes, it should. You see, like we were saying earlier on, when we come together as alumni, we have leadership. Now government should engage that leadership to know what they can do to help government. Like in my school, for the past 10 years, We have been involved in infrastructural development of some of the dilapidated structures in the school, which the economy of government cannot cope with again. And government should recognize that one and continue to encourage such in other schools, so that the children will have the proper education needed to move forward the country.
That's a good one. We've also seen quite a number of alumni associations of different schools coming to the head of their alma mater in terms of facilities and all of that. But what about do alumni also come in terms of helping with maybe teachers, because it is not uncommon to find that some of these schools these days might not have sufficient hands to do the teaching.
Or maybe we ask directly what your own alumni have been able to do in that regard. Because I think you're giving a posture that you're more comfortable talking about your school. So, what exactly has alumni been able to do in that regard?
Okay, I will start by saying it is right for alumni generally to participate in the teaching or employing teachers for the school. Well, in our own case, we interact with the school authority and ask where their area of needs are, the teachers that they don't have, and we know that government has not employed such teachers. Now, we ask them maybe to employ 2 or 3 in such areas that we would pay such teachers. But then they are not in the enrollment of government. But the important thing is to impart the knowledge needed by these children.
How effective has that been in any case?
Somehow it has been effective, but not fully effective yet.
Beyond the intervention of alumni associations in education development, what other collaborations do you think should really come to the fore if we will have functional education? I'm picking my words carefully. Functional education in Nigeria.
Come again, please.
What other collaborations do you think we need to bring to the fore if we will have functional education in Nigeria beyond the alumni intervention?
Okay. Like I said earlier on, we have the parents who are the real biological fathers and mothers of these children. And at the end of the day, they gain much from the children. They too should do something with government. In fact, government recognizes PTA, which is Parent Teachers Association. But then, I don't think they are given any serious role. They should be given some role.
Parent Teachers Association should be given
some
roles to play
in the development of the children.
What would such roles be, if you have to suggest?
Well, financial is part of it, because the economy of government, we all know, is depressing every day, and they cannot really cope with the educational development of children as it is in the modern days. So the parents should be made to participate in funding some of these projects that the government is actually supposed to do. Because the children, they are growing every day. When you don't give them the right thing at the right time, there's no way they can come back to have it. So the parents should please come in and help government, while the alumni too should participate in the development of these children, so that the country will have the right children.
Let's come to your school. I understand that school must have been on ground for many years, been a mission school, as it were. All along, has it really been able to produce eminent personalities who, to your mind, are now contributing well to the development of that school?
Well, every school actually have produced what we have today. We have been in existence for 60 years now. The school was established in 1965. And that is why we are even trying to push it to the fore now that we are 60 years old, and we want to appraise what we have done for the past 60 years and know what to do in the next stage of our lives. We have people. I remember in the field of politics, we have a senator, Senator Okuriboye, is a product of that school. We have many doctors. We have people in all areas. Sorry, I cannot remember their names offhand now. But then, we've produced a lot of people in the development of this country.
All right, you said you people are taking account of what you have been able to achieve for the past 60 years. And that means you're conversant with the school, right? So now let's look at it. And earlier you mentioned that it's a missionary school and there was emphasis on morals there. But if you want to compare what it used to be in your time as a student and what is obtainable in the school right now, would you say the standard of morality is the same?
Wow. It is obvious that the standard of morality then and now cannot be compared. It was very high then and very low now. And it's all over the place, to be frank and sincere, not our school alone. Now, we have been interacting with the church that they should not leave that aspect to government. Even the government doesn't want mission schools to interact with children so much, but then it is affecting the life of children.
So do you, can the alumni bodies, what can they do to come in this aspect? Maybe by telling the students what it ought to be or how it works. Do you interact with them in this regard, trying to motivate, sort of?
Of course, yes. For example, one of the members of the alumni is the current bishop of Methodist Church or diocese, Bishop Egbetaki, Dr. Egbetaki. Now we've been interacting with him on the way he can help the school to reshape the moral values of the children there. In fact, we are looking at a way of putting his residence nearer the school so that he can be overseeing the moral aspect of the children, while the principal will be overseeing the academics.
So how exactly is the school celebrating its 60th anniversary?
Well,
Beyond the
yeah.
ceremonies and all of that, of course you will talk about the ceremonies in program lineup, but
Right.
I'm more interested in how well that will really impact not just the alumni body, but the school and the students in particular.
Right. Now, the aspect that concerns the school and the children. The second day of the program week, we're going to have a lecture on three important aspects that can develop their lives. Entrepreneurship, which is to be taken by the president of Osrc in Ondo State. ICT, by a doctor in the field. And agriculture, by a doctor in that field too. We believe those three things are very important in the life of a modern person. The third day, inter sports, it is every year they have inter sport, but this edition is taken over by the alumni. And we want to encourage the children to participate in sports because it's important to develop them physically. On Thursday, which is the fourth day, it is still the children. It's going to be a quiz day. And they are going to be given awards after the quiz. And then, in the evening of that day, we want to feed children. Let them know that we think about them. And we want them to know that we expect them to do the same when they go out. So they should develop into good adults and do the same thing for the upcoming ones. And even the last day when we are going to have our gala night, we are going to invite the leaders in the classes, the prefects and all the rest to that gala night free, so that others can look forward to becoming leaders, good leaders. So that
apart from these activities that you've reeled out, are you going to be commissioning some projects in the school too?
well, obviously we commission the projects that we have done, the buildings. Then we are going to lay the foundation of a new laboratory. And after the commissioning, we are going to ask for donations towards the completion and the building of a library. E-library this time, because we were used to the old type library, and this is e-world now.
Now, sorry, Ajayi, before we let you go, you see, most times we're always elated talking about and placing projects, not just in the education arena, even infrastructure-wise in society.
Right.
Well, the problem of the Nigerian state is always that of maintenance. It seems that our bad maintenance culture has always contributed to dilapidation of this infrastructure. Go to some public buildings now, go to some private buildings too, and state of disrepair. Now, beyond them placing projects, what would be the disposition to maintenance of these projects?
Well, in fact, to even answer that one, we have touched the buildings that are already dilapidated in the school, apart from bringing up new projects. And that will continue as the years roll by. Whatever we put together as alumni, we just put back to improve the infrastructure.
Now, speaking generally, how do we bring to the consciousness of Nigerians imbibing proper maintenance culture for longevity, so to say, of infrastructure projects in Nigeria?
I think that is what we need so much in this country. Thinking back on the governments that have been coming into place, many of them have been putting up projects. But immediately those projects are put up, nobody thinks about the maintenance. All they think about is, I want to do my own project so that people will know I'm the one who did this one. That is not what we need. We need the maintenance of the existing ones. General Gowon did a lot of projects in the 70s. I mean, 70s today is about 60 years. They must have gone bad. Why should somebody now be thinking of, okay, I want to do my own, I want to leave what I've been done before? What happens to them? And that is why we are in crisis all over the place.
Talking about maintenance culture, apart from maintaining infrastructure in the schools, for instance, there's also need to maintain the standard as well. And there are some people that belong to this school thought that it's better if a school is administered by its alumni. But that way, that person will be able to bring back, or maintain that culture that had been in the school, both academics, both moral, and even sometimes sportsmanship will be able to maintain, the glory of the school. Do you subscribe to that?
Not totally, because new things are evolving. We cannot just say things should be done the way it was done when I was there 50 years ago. No. But then there are things that are good that should not be thrown away, and there are new things that should come in. So the two of them should collaborate to develop children.
Exactly. But my question is, for instance, having an alumni as the principal of a school, do you think
Okay.
it's more helpful than having somebody else?
It all depends on the personality involved. If you have an alumni, if it's not a good person, then there won't be anything to gain from such an action. But then, the important thing is to put somebody who will be of help, who knows his own names, who has the fear of God, who knows that he is expected to impart good knowledge to the children.
What about help for indigent students? The other time you mentioned parents' participation
Right.
in the financing of education and all of that. And it is not but to find that some parents even find it so hard to pay the stipend that is approved as parents, teachers, association bills to the school. Some even find it difficult to pay. And now you're talking about more. So what help can the alumni or your alumni has been rendered to indigent students?
Yes, of course, it is true that some parents are poor, but then it's not a new thing. I know parents who sold their belongings to send their children to school in those days, and they are proud of such children today. So it's not out of place to ask parents, even if they are poor, to do something about their children. After all, they brought the children to life. But then, as an alumni, we know those who are well-to-do, and we appeal to them to give for the development of the schools. And many of them have been responding, seeing that these things are done the right way.
Well, as a matter of emphasis, let's have a breakdown of the programs you have lined up for this anniversary, 16th anniversary of your former school.
Okay. Now we have a week-long program, right? The first day, Monday, the 10th of March, we intend to process through the town to tell the world that we are celebrating our 68th anniversary. It's like the annunciation of the birth of Jesus when Angel Gabriel came to say, hey, hooray! So we will process from the school premises to the palace of the Oba, His Royal Majesty, the Olowo Forward. In a procession like that, riding on horses, yeah, we have the students who will ride on horses along the way. And we release some balloons into the air.
The carnival life.
Carnival, showing the environment that this school is celebrating. And that goes for the first day. The second day, like I told you earlier on, is going to be lecture, 3 subjects: entrepreneurship, ICT, agriculture. And then the third day is going to be inter-house sports, like I said. The children will do their normal inter-house sport, but with some touch of alumni. On Thursday, it's going to be a quiz. And the principal has already arranged, we've invited some schools to participate in the quiz, celebrating with us, of course. So, and at the end of the day, we give prizes to them. Then in the evening of that day, okay, that was a Wednesday, so the evening of Thursday is when we're going to feed the children. But in the morning of Thursday, okay, Thursday is quiz, sorry, correct. So it is that evening we are going to feed the children. And On Friday, we're going to commission projects in the morning, and in the afternoon, we're going to have a football match. Football match that we bring some eminent footballers into the town. It's going to be chairmaned by Dr. Felix Owolabi of the Super Eagles fame. We're expecting Segun Odegbami, mathematical footballer. So it's going to be a real event, real football event that day. The environment will be a good, no doubt about that. And Saturday, we are going to launch our magazine in the morning, and in the evening, we're going to have our gala night.
Well, wish the very best in all of this programs.
Sorry, on Sunday, we are going to thank God in the Methodist Church.
Well, finally, what should be the sustenance of intervention of alumni in education development? Beyond just the days that they just come to have festivities like this, shouldn't there be a sustained effort by alumni, alumni groups at developing the education sector?
Exactly. That's going to be. Like we're having our 60th anniversary now, we're already looking forward to 70th. And
Should
what
it be
will
when
happen
70th
between, no. We are looking at what will happen between 60 and 70. We are going to have a 5-year rolling plan on what to do. Then another 5 years to be 70. And that 5 years we are going to have immediate, medium, and long-term projects that we are going to carry out.
All right, thank you very much, Thomas Ajayi, for sharing your thoughts with us today, and of course giving us the lineup of activities for your alumni school. Well, maybe it's also an invitation for Sunday. I think where's the place to go?
Really, you're invited.
All right, from Sunday, because we're wrapping up the show.
Well, it's been an interesting moment talking about Nigeria in many facets. We've touched on politics, we've touched on governance, now we've touched on education. What is important is that wherever you find yourself, play your part well in ensuring you contribute to the development of the Nigerian state. History will be kind to you if you do your best. History will also be hostile to you if you contribute to the downfall of society. Sunday God is my name. Enjoy your weekend. Good.
I think I'll go with Sunday to say yes, play your part well, wherever it is you are. You know, you can be excellent cleaner, excellent maid in the house of your employer, excellent boss, excellent servant, whichever divide you for, strive for excellence. My name is Folasha Gidonse. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Leadership is not a package where you take it and say, here it is, I give you the package. Leadership comes from what you do, how you do it, how you live, what have you have acquired in terms of your training, your experience, your track record, and all that. And what I'm saying is that the young people must strive they shouldn't expect it to be a parcel delivered by DHL to them. And they must know that nothing comes just for nothing. You work for it.
Some they hustle, some they walk. Everybody wants to be boss. Make you listen, you go hear sounds of victory in the air. Calling all low. Boremi Musa go Sarayaga go no low. Chevy something good is happening. Something good is happening. Something good is happening. Help me sing it, la 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 la. Go daju, o si se dede, go jeun dede, o ye go daju, o dodo oro, batale jeje, ama tele kwepe, o da mi loju, ole na lo, ore ri mu se go sara yaga go no lo, chevi olo. Sorry, go shebi holo. Something good is happening. Something good is happening. Something good is happening. Help me sing it, la 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 la. Hustle, you they walk, make you no forget to the ball. Life is sweeter when we learn to cherish the things we get. Calling all low, Boremi Musa go Sharaki go no low, Trevi olo. Sorry, go shebi holo. Something good is happening.